Spark a conversation, verbal elation, stimulation, education. This is Menage with the MariJayne Maven. When we on the air, it's always a lituation. Might talk about some litigation, might talk about some immigration, might talk about some politics, but never talking nonsense. Yes, we on in the slide. Watch and listen, it's a vibe. Watch it while you getting high, or you can listen while you drive. Just don't forget to subscribe.
Roll up. Trying to get high.
Welcome to Menage with the MariJayne Maven Podcast with your host, the MariJayne Maven. I am the producer, the hubby. Follow us on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Show us some love and click that subscribe button now. Don't forget to click the bell so you get notifications and click the like button on the videos.
And now, your host.
Facilities of some sort.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's too much like right, and our politicians don't get paid to do that. So
No, they don't actually listen to us. Come on.
no, why would they do that?
Seriously.
I mean, you know, they're so well versed to be assholes. Oh, you want to move it? That's good. Sorry, producer's telling me to do things here, so I better
I mean, when the producer talks, you got to listen.
you know. But when he's your husband, it's kind of like, do I? No, I'm kidding. Right there, man.
I was going to say, the only time a Dom will listen to a sub is if they're the producer.
Yeah. So
Fact.
funny story. Last night, I was like, we're equal. We are in the same playing field. And he's like, I don't think you understand what a Dom sub relationship is. It's like, that's not the exact opposite of that. I mean, I was being silly, but you know.
Yeah.
So yes, we've started recording a little bit here, but
I saw.
what I'll do is I will do my introduction. I will read my quote, and then we'll go ahead and introduce you. Now, how would you like on this podcast? Do you want the same same designation, the same everything? Just okay.
Yep.
So I am probably just going to do a little bit of, if you guys will listen to Soulmates, you missed out some great content, but now we're inviting him back to share here. And I have AKAs, which is a new thing as well. So I will start off by saying, this is the MariJayne Maven, AKA whatever comes to this mind. And then I'll introduce you and I'll ask, what is your AKA? If you had to designate yourself as one. Yeah, so you want me to get started, babe? Gotta get a clean sheet. I still think we need, what is that called? I forget that every time.
A clapper.
Yes, I still want to get one of those so bad. And he looked at me like, who do you think you are? I want that. I want a like on air sign. I want, no deal. All right.
Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome back, everybody. I keep bringing more cameras. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a minute. I know you've missed me. I've missed all of you. You know who this is. It's your girl, the MariJayne Maven, for the 2023, AKA Your Highness, AKA Elevation on 100, AKA Female Smoky, AKA Educatress. That's not what I was going to say. So we'll stop the AKs there. And you know who is here with me. My ace boon coon, my baby, my side. I am his rib. If you guys really believe in all that. Hubby.
But I am the one.
I wish you guys could see. He doesn't even have to say anything. He just presses a button, and that's serious. So, hello, the one. Mondo, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I feel great being back, doing our creating and sharing the content, sharing my crazy opinion on things. Crazy, but right, usually. Um, just to let you guys know, it was a bit of a break. I'm going to be completely honest and vulnerable for a brief second. I just was not feeling creating content for this podcast. I felt like a block. Um, and that's because I'm going through an evolution or a journey as far as my career and what I'm doing within cannabis. Um, I am going to stop this year, specifically making other people, I don't want to say rich because they're not doing too good of a job right now, but making other people successful and doing what I know that I can do. So I've come this far in my journey where I've set goals to myself and I've reached them. And me being an Aries and me being me, sometimes you have to tell those old habits, get away. But it was mind fucking me. Let's just say it was really just getting all up in here and it was just making everything discombobulated. And like I said, just a complete block on my creativity. I did still during that time record our other podcasts. I will say talking about sex and things like that is a little bit easier than wanting to get into education and really talking about cannabis and the wellness lifestyle. However, I had to have a come to Jesus talk with myself. I was like, bitch, get your shit up. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop blocking what you know your purpose is and your passion. And once I had that little talk with myself, everything just kind of became clear. So what you can always learn, what I hope you take away from, these episodes is learn from my stumbles, learn from my mistakes. You may be feeling the same way and not even able to identify it. So use an example. And when I reach out and I talk to you guys and I share times like this and vulnerable moments, and maybe take a little bit of self-reflection, smoke, get in that mindset, write things down. Things become really clear when you write things down. Like you may not even realize that you're feeling that way, but subconsciously you'll write something down and all of a sudden it's like a light bulb goes off. So take that time to do so. Pretty soon you're going to be able to do that, and the MariJayne Maven journals, and a couple of other things that are coming out as well. I think it's really good for people to learn about how cannabis works best for them by once again keeping journals. So I'm going to have a couple of things that help with that, help out with creativity. I also wanted to say that once I got out of my little slump and little feeling sorry for myself, my LLC is now created. Shout out to Zen Business. My husband and I have completed our media company and the LLC formation there. So Lord and Lady, or LM and LS Media. So you guys will soon be seeing a channel for that. Instagram's coming up, and that's going to actually have all of our content from all of the podcasts that I host, as well as take a bow. What hubby and I are doing is trying to create this, this conglomerate. Definitely be able to build some generational wealth, and then wealth on our own terms, and then just doing what we love. So hubby's podcast about 2A rights, and being a gun tuber, that will be part of the network. My son, his anime podcast is going to be part of it, as well as my Don't Talk, Just Listen, as well as our Soulmates and Swingers, as well as a React podcast that I'm doing with family right now, our cousin of ours. That's going to be coming out very soon. And then, of course, Menage with the MariJayne Maven is just going to be another place under Lord, or I keep saying Lord Mondo and Lady Sativa Media, but for short, LM and LS Media. So that's what I've been busy doing. But I'm so happy to be back and sharing with you guys. I have some really exciting things, coming in the pipeline. We have some return guests, some of the favorites that are coming back. Big Kurt's coming up. We're going to be talking about some of the favorite brands and weed strains that are out there. Even though California and Washington are super close, the brands are so different. A lot more, I feel like, celebrity brands are present there, but we'll talk about that on that episode. But Before we get started, I do want to, of course, I love my quotes. That helps you guys to get in the mindset and to know what this episode is going to be about. So everything that I do is about elevating your lifestyle, educating yourself, educating your wellness, and really helping you to create and cultivate the life that you see fit and the quality of life that you see fit. Tonight's special guest co-host was and is one of the favorite guest co-hosts that we've had on our podcast, Soulmates and Swingers. His name is Wesley. He's going to be coming in one moment here. But before I bring him in, let me go ahead and let you guys know about the quote. And then you know what that is a cue for. We go sesh. We go spark and salutations. But this is super important. I think that everybody needs to kind of take stock at the beginning of the year, new moon, whatever you feel like you need this kind of cleansing or you need this reset. You want to make choices for yourself that keep you closer to a peaceful state of mind. Put distance between yourself and unsettling situations and people. So you are going to, just like I was telling my 14-year-old, you teach people how to treat you. You teach people how to respect you. And sometimes you got to get, he's a very, 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 very innocent and pure and good soul. And I think that sometimes between his father and I, and we tell him, don't stand up for anybody's shit, push back. He's like, well, isn't there another way to deal with that? Yes, there is. But sometimes, like I said, you have to let people know, fuck around and find out. You want to fuck around? And then you're going to find out. And that's, that's pretty much what that quote and what the antithesis and I don't want to be superfluous, which we'll talk about that in one moment. That is an awesome word. I know you guys are like, she's spitting bars right now. What is that? But you don't want to let anybody have control over your happiness and who you are. Cannabis can definitely help with that. But we're going to jump into that in just a moment here. Let me stop blabbing. You guys can tell that I've missed you. But let me introduce you to our very, very, very special guest co-host. This gentleman, just the power and the good energy and the vibes and everything that we felt when we first had him on our podcast, our couples podcast. It was overpowering. I want to say it was just overflowing. And we ended up having a really good, 2.5 hour conversation. And I've never sent the link to somebody to be like, now you got to be on my other podcast as quickly as I did. So I want to introduce you to somebody who, in my eyes, has a lot of knowledge and a very succinct way, but non-intimidating way of sharing just a different way to think and educating you about what he knows very well, and what message can be shared. So everybody listen up, all right? Because I would like to introduce you to, and he's going to come up with an AKA. An AKA is coming very quickly. But please welcome Wesley Toma.
Thank you. First of all, congratulations on the LLC and getting all that done.
Thank you.
But with all those podcasts, when do you sleep?
Hubby, being that he's a teacher, 2:00 in the morning, I'm like, okay, you got to be up at 6:30. So we got to get some sleep. So there's some times when we're like, this is day 3. We have not seen the inside of our eyelids. And then we push and we get a lot of content created during that time. But it's when you love what you do, it does not seem like work, and it does not seem like an obligation. So,
and when you're trying to run your own business, there is no day off.
You got
to do what it takes to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one day I'm going to get there when I can, be on my yacht and just texting and being like, get this shit done. No, I'm so type A personality. I probably wouldn't even allow that to happen.
That's right.
But yes. So why don't you share with my listeners, what's your AKA?
So I think my AKA is going to go with what my general theme of my domness is these days. And that's, so I guess I'm going to go with my UK as being daddy.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So don't get confused, because sometimes I slip up and I call him daddy.
That's
So,
fine.
both of you guys will start talking. That'll make a very interesting episode. People will be like, did you hear? No. So tell people a little bit about yourself in case they have not listened to Soulmate and Swingers. Tell them just
Sure.
a little bit about who you are. You know, I don't want you to say, I usually say, you were born and today you're here, fill in the middle. I think I said that on another episode, but just give people kind of overall, elevator pitch as to what your specialty is and what we're going to be adding to the conversation today.
Sure. Well, I was born at a very young age. It's a joke. I'm a relationship and intimacy coach. I focus mostly on the LGBTQIA plus and kink communities. I try my best to normalize sex and sex talk, and the kink community, try to normalize that as well, and kind of make the faux pas less scary to people and more everyday, because
less
it really
of a faux
is.
pas.
Yeah, exactly.
Less of a taboo.
Yeah.
We are all, biological, sexual beings. Like, we all, no matter what, have the same desires and same physiological needs and wants and things that I don't want to make it sex sound mechanical or routine, but that is kind of like we're all supposed to do the same thing. Get some relief, get some pleasure. So cannabis is great for that. There was a great post, and I want to shout out High Society Mama. I'm pretty sure is her name on Instagram, but she just did this awesome reel, and she was, when I first looked at it, I was like, is she having sex on Instagram? Because all you saw was just, she had on a silk robe. It was kind of open, but you could tell it was the movement. The movement was going on there. And all of a sudden, it was just all these thoughts that were popping up in her head. And it was like women that do not use cannabis before sexy time. And it was, who can say where the love goes? That song?
Oh, yeah. Was it Enya?
There you go. I was going to say Enya too. So that was playing while all the thoughts were popping up. Yeah. I'll be sitting here looking like I have no idea. And then the next one, it was Get Loose With It. Like what Short said, let Bruce hit it. So it was a remix of that song, but then she was on top. Her hair was going. She was in her goddess mood. And I loved it so much because that is what cannabis can do as far as intimacy. So we'll definitely get into that. But before, you guys know that we cannot truly, it is not an episode if we don't do our spark and salutations. So get your sativa, get your indica, get your roll, get your cone, whatever it is, get your drink, get your dab. Let's get elevated and get into this. So tonight, I am going to be getting medicated and elevated on this brand. It's called Delighted. I don't know if you have it. If you do not, please go to your local storefront and request it. A Siggity Sap. I'm telling you, this shit is ridiculous. So I got a very nice quarter, shout out to Connected in Sacramento, of their black powder, which I love because, I'm into guns and it kind of remind, even though we don't have like a black powder type gun.
Not at all.
I don't know. It just reminded me of that. And I love this brand because it tells you the total amount of cannabinoids. It tells you the percentage of terps. It tells you the percentage of THCA. It really breaks it down. CBG and CBGA. Damn, I didn't even notice this. I was just working and this bag was going quickly and all I knew was put this bag aside for me. So happy that I did. But this black powder, it's about, 40%, 43% with all the cannabinoids. So that includes THC, CBG, everything that I just mentioned. And this shit is fire. Okay. So shout out to Delighted. I don't know what you guys are doing. Please keep doing it. All right. So new brand alert. That's what we're going to be smoking on this evening. And I want to say this is a hybrid. I want to say it might be indica. And that lets you guys know I'm not an indica girl, but that's how much my mouth was watering standing there listening to, shout out to Jesse, who I think is probably the best bud tender and connected. I mean, like I said, if I had my tax return, I probably would have bought their entire stock. That's how good it was. So shout out to that. Now, Wesley, remind me from our last conversation, you're not somebody who medicates, but you understand, and you have you before?
Yeah. I don't do it myself. Mainly the main reason is about 5 years ago, I actually had bariatric sleeve surgery. So I had my stomach stapled.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the potential side effects is, for some reason, it stops affecting you. And
Wow.
I've tried edibles, I've tried tinctures, I've tried dabs, I've tried the plant, I've tried everything.
Damn.
And like it barely hits me.
Wow.
So it's like, why waste the money if I'm not
Yeah.
gonna have the fun?
True. Well, you know what? I'm gonna have to send you one of my topicals. It's
Mhm.
great for pain. I can tell you, I had a very first pain client, which drives hubby crazy. But I've been like, I feel like it's good. You know,
Mhm.
it'll come back to me 100-fold. But
Mhm.
I just saw her today, and she was like, "This is like a miracle. Like, I don't know what you do." She's like, but she just had a really bad car accident, and she's like, I rub it in, and immediately I feel the relief. So
Nice.
I will send that to you. And I was gonna
Absolutely.
say, when we first got on camera, you looked like you lost some weight.
I have a little bit, yes.
Yes.
I've been trying to bring it down, so thank you.
It's hard. Let me see.
It's very
Whatever
hard.
you've lost, I picked it up. I was like, oh, as I drink another IPA right here, and I cursed them. But yes, it's got IPA. So you know what? Voodoo Ranger, I know I'm not really supposed to advertise, but you guys should really, really get me on, because I buy them all from the 7-Eleven. But so in your field and what you do, your
Mhm.
specialty, do you have, or do you see a lot of people that use cannabis, to get into their scenes or just to socialize? Are you seeing it more often now?
I think it's more often these days than it was in years past. I think for me it seems to depend.
Uh-huh.
Because a lot of the people I talk to are kinksters and they do scene. I
Mhm.
think, and one thing that I try to promote is, I'm very, very plant positive. I have no problem with it. I have one of my partners smokes like almost like it's his job. So
I like it.
yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
But I tell what I tell people, like, if you're scening with someone new, someone you don't know, maybe it's a good idea not to be high, because you need to learn each other. You need to explore each other. You need to understand how your bodies interact and work. And the cannabis can kind of get in the way of that.
Sometimes, yeah.
You may not realize something is hurting when it is hurting, or you're uncomfortable when you don't realize. Now once you're in a stable thing and they're like the back of your hands, fuck, get high, man.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Right.
Party up.
We're all part of the same universe, and like the powers of the plant it's showing its ass, and another way to say it, like, really, I mean, between mushrooms, today I was at a storefront and they have a great combination of a capsule that is lion's mane, which, if you guys don't know, that's a part of the strain of mushrooms, to break it all down and make it simple. And then they have a really good formulation of THC in it. So you're getting the wellness of both. And what's really interesting to me is they were able to make a formula where you need to go to sleep. They have that one. But if you need one every day to take, like a vitamin or a supplement, they have that as well for clarity. Now,
nice.
It was a little out of my price range. I refuse to pay some of these prices in the storefronts, but I thought it was really empowering, and just the way to be like, I had to stand there for a second, like, are we really in this world right now where it's like it's becoming more and more acceptable, as it should,
Mhm.
to use what grows from the earth? Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure the earth has been like, what the fuck are you guys doing for years now? Like, the answers are right here, you know? So,
Mhm.
but I can get on a soapbox about that. So before we go too far, good
Mhm.
old delighted. Thank you, Black Powder. I do like to talk about music and Mary Jane. So before we get too deeply into what I want to talk about as far as making sure that you manifest and you cultivate and create your quality of life. So music Mary Jane, you guys know I've talked about it before. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen a couple posts that I've done. Music Mary Jane, to me, they go hand in hand. So you guys know I love Mary Jane. And music is my boyfriend. I've said that forever. Like, my side piece, my love. I could write a complete love letter to music. And so I love to be able to share the songs that you're into, or your favorite song, or that song that, like yesterday, the song that I'm going to share, I played it on repeat 9 times coming back to Sacramento from about 30 minutes away. And just every time I hear it, it takes me back to college. It takes me back to a certain time, or we're partying in Vegas, not sober at all, but it's just really good times. And I realized that it's even more enhanced, of course, when I've medicated. So that song for me, guys, is Groove Jet, and it's called If This Ain't Love. If you guys don't know it, please right now go add it to whatever playlist you have. It's a great song. If you like dance, kind of EDM music, it's not too heavy in the EDM, but it's a little more dance music. Then you'll love it. Yeah. So that's my song that I'm obsessed with right now. That and Breaking the Girl by Red Hot Chili Peppers just came into my head the other day, and I've been playing it for a couple of days too. But there's an actual scientific reason why music seems so good, or a song seems so good when you're elevated. And it's actually because cannabis helps to, and I'm not a scientist by any means, but cannabis helps to enhance your auditory skills or senses. So you actually hear the music like you're in it. It's like very stereo, surround sound. That's why sometimes you feel like, I know, I put on Lil Wayne or Drake or something like that, and I'm like, I hear you. I got it. Never done half the things that they're talking about, but for some reason, what they're saying, it just really speaks to me. So, what do you have a song that speaks to you like that?
Yes, I have 2 right now. I have an artist and then a song from a different artist. So, and I'm going to date myself, but whenever I listen to Nirvana, it brings me back to when I was in high school, because that's when Nirvana was popular, was when I was in high school in the 90s.
Yes.
So, and I was a grunge kid. I loved the grunge music. I was in the grunge scene, and they were kings. So anytime, specifically the Unplugged album that they did for MTV.
Oh my gosh.
So good.
I'm going to send you a link. There's a channel that I watch on YouTube called Weird History. And today they did, 2 days ago, they did 1991 was the year that changed rock. And they did a huge part of it was Nirvana. But then they did a Unplugged behind the scenes of the Unplugged, the MTV. Yes. So you will love it. So I'll have to send it to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
and the song, I'm sorry. But the song I'm listening to is actually more of a current one, which anytime it comes on the radio or anytime I hear it on Spotify, I just have to sing as loud and as bad as I can. And that's Sam Smith's Unholy.
That's a good one. How can you not sing along with Sam Smith? And first
Seriously.
of all, where did you come from all of a sudden? And that voice.
What you're talking about, where'd you come from? Where'd you go?
Cotton Eye Joe.
Cotton Eye Joe.
I do love that song, though. I do love that.
He gets so mad. It is fun.
He gets so mad at me. I'm like, it is such a good song.
It's one of the
so many different things.
At weddings. It's so good. Yeah.
But we grew up at the same time. So Nirvana came out when I was well, the first album that didn't do as good commercially, Bleach, I think, right?
Mhm.
I heard a little bit about it, but my very first intro was into hard rock was Faith No More. I remember I was 12 years old, was in Jamaica, and I met this girl who was from the East Coast. She was like 16. She's like, "You never heard of Faith No More?" And I was like, "No." And she played it for me, and that was my life for like a year. Then I got into Metallica. Nothing Else Matters still just gives me chills. But I do love Nirvana, and one of my happiest moments as a mom is that my kids love Nirvana, know the words when I play them, and it could be songs that are just not out there. Like first of all, goddamn TikTok. It takes all of our songs and snippets, and these kids nowadays think they're brand new, and I'm like, that is not. It's not new at all.
I did not know that Nothing Else Matters was Metallica.
Really? I thought you knew that. You listened to it with me.
Yes.
See, I can count on him to like Weezer, Kings of Leon. Like that was, oh, God, I wish they would get their shit together and just put out an album like they. Oh, gosh, that like I miss him so much. But yeah, you got me like just singing Nirvana in my head now. But I love Nirvana. That was. They have a place as far as like what happened, especially with Kurt Cobain. That was so tragic, and it's a part of my time growing up, and I'm sure you can relate to it. That is, I think it was the first time that I was really affected by someone's passing. Didn't know the man clearly, but it was just so, I don't know, it was just so life-changing at that time. That album and the loss of Kurt Cobain was such a life-defining, I think, time for us as adolescents. I remember that and Pedro from The Real World dying, and that was like, I was 13 to 15 maybe in that time, and I just remember feeling like I knew these people.
You said Pedro? I thought you were talking about Vote for Pedro.
No, not Napoleon Dynamite.
Someone's showing his age.
Right. That part. I say things sometimes and I'm like, oh, I mean, his students think he's 75. Old as shit. So if they listen, then I have to share this. They were talking about taking ecstasy and buying ecstasy in class the other day, right in front of him, not using code words or
no, they
anything.
were, but their code was stupid. Their code was E and tab and half tab and half part. I'm like, oh, I get the full for. Oh, I was gone off the one. I'm sitting right here in front of you. Like, no, you have
like
to stop.
Their lingo for it hasn't evolved. It's not like they're using. It's not like they're saying Q, but they're talking about ecstasy. E is. We all know that. Like, come on. It's not like they said euphoria. It's not like they made up.
But kids think they're always original, even when they're completely not.
They're so not. Just like these girls walked past me at hubby's basketball game the other day, and I was like, I swear I had those outfits from the top down to the shoes. I was like, I had that exact outfit. But once again, here we go, just dating ourselves. This is the title of this episode. Right. Old fogies talking. No.
But I want to actually go back to something that you said, which is something I talk about. Like, you were mentioning the death of Kurt Cobain and how much of an impact that was. I mean, that like changed my youth. And what's amazing about it, today, you have kids today that probably don't know much about Kurt Cobain, don't know much about Nirvana, and it's fine. It's been a while. I get it. I don't know much about the music from the 20s. It's understandable. Right. Yeah. But I look at it the way I had like this mind-blowing moment in the car the other day. It was just one of those things that just never occurred to me. I was listening to Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl, amazing. One of the most talented individuals in the world. And
he seems like he's so cool. He just seems like he would
such a great guy.
Yeah.
such a nice guy, so talented. I mean, and such amazing. And he was willing to stay the drummer behind Kurt Cobain for as long as it took. That says something about Kurt Cobain.
It does. And that says something about the fact that somebody else saw the light in him. And especially being young when grunge was just blowing up, like he could have easily said, let me go ahead and be the front man and get this shine, you know? And he
plays every fucking instrument. He might as well have.
Everyone. He's so talented. I have chills. See, I wish you could see because you said Foo Fighters and my husband he just started smiling because I love the Foo Fighters. Rest in peace to Taylor. I mean, when his son played the drums with them, my son turned it on and Aunt Flo was in town and I was like, nope. I'm going to be I'm not even going to be able to enjoy this. But that kid played his heart out. And I just was like,
it was magical.
Yeah. I was like, how old is he? When can he join the Foo Fighters? Selfishly, so that I could see them in concert. But Everlong, I was blasting that today. Blasting it.
Have you heard the acoustic version?
I was just going to say I have every version. Get out of my head. See guys? He's not even smoking and we're connected. I have every version. And we drove to San Diego about a month ago now. And when I drive, it's my playlist on. And I'm telling you, he probably looked at me like side-eyed, like, we're hearing this again. I was like, yeah, but this is the LA acoustic version. And then there's the regular, then there's the video. And then, I have them all. But yeah, Dave Grohl is definitely, I would fangirl the fuck out if I ever met him. And I feel like he'd be like, where's the brewery? Where's the nearest brewery? Let's go drink some beers and chill out and talk about anything.
Oh my God. And the stories you hear, he's like you said, he's such a genuine, kind-hearted person.
Yeah. And it's funny that he's like, my kids think I'm so nerdy. And I'm like, what? Do they know who their mother is? Like, seriously, sit them down and play Best of You. Just play that. And they'll walk out of the room. But yeah, no. So when you were saying earlier that, how losing Kurt Cobain and I mentioned Pedro, what dawned on me is that, and this is about our generation, we had those defining moments that we really were compassionate about. And because unfortunately they weren't as frequent as some of the kids and who they like now, I think that's why they haven't had that, that moment. Don't want to wish it upon this man because I think he's a genius, no matter how controversial he is. Kanye West, I think if something happened to him, that would be their Kurt Cobain, their Tupac, their Biggie, their Pedro. River Phoenix, well, shit, now that I'm like starting to name names, I guess we did have a good amount, but maybe they just weren't all the time.
I think the difference is we weren't so bombarded with social media back then. Yeah,
true.
When we heard about
long to hear about information, stuff happening.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard about Kurt Cobain dying because they did a breakthrough on MTV when I was watching the music video.
Yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly what you're talking about. That MTV News, and if you think about it too, that was a super just integral part of our adolescence and growing up. That's where we got a lot of news. I mean, watching the I was about to say the Coachella, not the Coachella, the Woodstock.
Yes.
So watching that documentary, I didn't know the extent of how fucking crazy that was. But MTV was very smart in getting everybody out. So we only saw up to a certain extent. We didn't know that they burned shit down and, they were charging $20 for a bottle of water. And I mean, this was what, 99?
Yeah.
So
somewhere around there.
Yeah. We were paying $2.99 for a Big Mac meal. Like, so if you say $20 for a bottle of water, right? And you had your choice above that. No wonder so many of us are supersize it. Then you could go super size for 39 cents more.
Of course.
Hey, look, as much as it's expensive to go to the grocery store, McDonald's should bring that back. At least people would get full for the $10 they spend now.
That shit would cost you $20 to supersize now.
And the extra sizes?
The large size now is like $15.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
For McDonald's to be as consistent as they are as far as their model, you go in any McDonald's, you're getting the same thing. You're going to get shitty service some places. Some places you're going to be like, they love working at McDonald's. But that is one thing that varies so greatly is the prices. You take a road trip and 30 minutes away from your house, so let's just say it's on the freeway or off the freeway, you're easily paying 2 times as much as what you would pay at home because of their location. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Same thing with gas stations.
Oh gosh. Oh, like I said, we just took a trip. I was like, we need to fill up before we go over the grapevine, into the LA area. At one place, it literally could only be a bathroom stop and like a snack spot because every gas station there was an Arco, an AM/PM that was charging $6.69. Now this was a month ago, not when the gas was crazy, but I didn't see anybody getting gas. Everybody was parked and going to the restrooms, and that's just crazy that we're having to live through a time where you already have the stress of meeting somebody. Let's say you are single. People have goals set for themselves as far as their financial situation or their careers. So you already have the strain of the normal aspects of being an adult. Now you have on top of that, well, how am I going to pay for shit? Because a carton of eggs is $9. Which I'm like, let's go buy some chicks. How long is it till they become full hands or whatever that, like, when can we get our own fresh eggs? But how are the prices? Because this is, good old Cali prices.
Yeah. I'm in the heart of Boston. So our local gas station is terrible. But we travel out of the city a lot. Like tomorrow, actually, we're going to a party up in New Hampshire. And God damn it, if we're not going to stop for gas up there.
Yeah,
because it's going to be at least $1 or $2 cheaper.
So are you guys below $3? Or are you about $3?
We are. The one down the street is just over $4.
Oh, okay. So that's about, that's here. Yeah. We just got a new car and we realized time to grow up from Arco. We got to start using Chevron, and it's just better for the car. And we're like, damn it, the Chevron is not cheap. Like Chevron is always about 30 to 40 cents above, but you have to realize those other places are just giving you water. Like you go through it so fast. But yeah. So I know our viewers or listeners are like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Once again, thanks delighted. That's my brain going. So
thanks delighted and ADHD.
Yes, yeah, that part. But I bring it all back. Watch, guys, see. So as we were talking about, it's hard enough right now just being an adult, doing normal adult things. What do you see as far as, are you seeing a growth of people that want to express themselves and maybe release some stress and just really lower and get rid of their inhibitions, and they're getting more into the kink lifestyle, or they're getting into more dom sub kind of situations? Have you seen a growth in that, like let's say in the last 6 months or so?
I would say yes. I have seen I feel like, because a part of what I do is, I do talk about it a lot. And I do like to talk about it. I mean, who doesn't like to talk about sex? But, I like to, try to talk about and educate on it, talk about it, normalize it. Yeah. So I tend to have more people that will walk up to me like, hey, I never thought about this before, but, because like one of the things I break it down, like what is a kink? If you think about it, a sex toy is a kink. A vibrator is a kink. that's as simple as it gets. And like I'll tell people that it's like, 58% of people have used a dildo or a vibrator in their lives. That's a majority of people who have been kinky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'll have people walk up to me and be like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I've always been kind of scared of it. And I think it has kind of gotten bigger and more pronounced in the last couple months. I'd say probably in the last year.
Yeah. I think some of that is, COVID, people becoming entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. I think a lot more people came out with like their sex educators, or they come out with their own line. There's a lot of places now that you can do drop shipping and just go ahead and say it's your line, and you're having another version of the rose, for example, or, and so it's definitely making the conversation much more accessible. I do think there are positive things to like TikTok when it's being used responsibly. And I think there's a bigger growth and presence of people that are sharing their knowledge. Not saying that not everybody is knowledgeable, but some of it is definitely surface knowledge. So I will say, onto that point, how do you recommend somebody to start their journey into getting information? Do you recommend following, TikTok trends or TikTok information? What do you think would be the most non-intimidating, especially to, we'll say, a millennial or a Gen Zer?
Yeah, I would say TikTok can help and hurt. Like you said, there's a lot of people out there that put out content that they don't really know what they're talking about. They act very like they do, and they sound very convincing, but they really don't. Yeah. And something I tell clients and people all the time, not everybody has your best interest at heart. So it could be hurt. It can hurt. Yes. However, if you I think for me, if you're going to use TikTok, if you search for kink talk, which is, a tag that a lot of kink TikTokers use, you're going to see which ones kind of rise to the top. And they're the ones that are going to have the most views, the most likes, the most subscribers, whatever. Yeah. And they're the ones you want to follow. Go on YouTube. There's some really good ones. What's the safe word is a really, really good one. Midori has, I don't know if you don't know who Midori is. She's one of the greatest kinksters, educators out there. She has a channel that she talks about kink. I've been in her classes. I would swear my life to that woman. She's so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of things out there you can find that are going to give you the information, but I will also say you trust, but verify. Because like I said, there's a lot of people there that may not give the proper information. And on the same side of it, not everyone experiences or practices kink the same way.
The same way. Exactly. And that's where there needs to become an understanding about what exactly, because I think because there is this larger audience and presence, there are definitions of it that are just not correct. People are labeling everything, kink, just like they are defining BDSM. They think it's automatically just the pain and the choking, and it's like that's not it. Like, you have to actually peel and get into the layers of it. And like you said, education and knowledge is going to help to normalize it. You guys know that is my mission with the MariJayne Maven, is to educate, eradicate, and elevate. And that goes hand in hand, with what your beliefs and your mission is. And that lets you guys know that that's a part of cultivating your existence and doing it to what you define as a good quality of life, or just an excellent quality of life. You deserve it. So that comes in doing your due diligence, like you said, trusting, but verifying. It's just as easy as it is to find these individuals. It's just as easy to verify. It's a little bit of a Google search. Sometimes not even that deep. And that'll let you know right away. If you can find some information really quickly, that's probably not the person that you want to, to help to develop your ideal and to help you take the next step in the journey. Um,
Exactly.
so utilizing what you can to, once again, this is all about cultivating and creating the existence that you want in all facets, intimacy wise, whether it just be with your interactions with within your communication, whether it be a career change, whatever it may be, it's all intertwined in the larger picture. And that is, what do you deserve? You deserve the best in whatever capacity you define that. But the ways to get there, there's so many things that provide pleasure that you can find your way on your journey, your path. You can find your way. It can be like a beacon of light that helps to lead you to a much broader sense of happiness. So the point of having you as a guest co-host is to show that, there's a pleasure system, that may be built in being physical and more of a sexual, aspect. And then of course we have the plant power. But as we were talking before we came on, those two are just symbiotic, and like the synergy between both, it goes hand in hand. Do you find that people that are a little more enlightened and living their truth and doing things that are pleasurable to them, that they're overall, I guess, happier?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think one thing I always stand by is if you can live and be your true and authentic self, the only thing that could happen is joy.
Yeah.
Yes, there could be struggles, there could be trials and tribulations. There is for anybody who steps out of the quote unquote normal, but finding yourself and accepting yourself brings such joy and pleasure to a person. I would never tell somebody to not be their true authentic self. As much as I've seen, we live in a society that people are shunned and hurt for being different.
Yeah,
I get that, and I don't want to downplay that at all, But I feel that I find that people who embrace themselves, tend to have less stress.
Yes. Yeah. You have an outlet. And stress is so debilitating, and in large doses or small doses. And people don't do enough to be about self, and to take care of self. And whatever way that you like to express that, it's good. We have this focus on mental health, which is great. But I think the same way that we're focusing there, we do need to focus on all other aspects of health, and make sure that we have this movement and this dedication that we're having now, which is a great thing to mental health, because it's huge. The mind is the most powerful organ that we have, and powerful part of who we are as humans. But it works in conjunction with other parts of your body. Our body is just one big machine, and everything works together. So when there's imbalance, then that imbalance manifests itself, I think, within who you are, how you communicate with others, the lack of compassion that is common, within our society right now, I think definitely stems from people having imbalances, and not chemical imbalances in the brain. I'm not saying that, but imbalances in each part of us, what makes us really wondrous, species. I feel that it's super important for people to reflect and to take stock, and to figure out maybe where there's a void, and then how that void can be filled. So I did want to ask, what would you say? I know that you said, you don't medicate, but what, if any, research have you done about like cannabis intimacy lube? And have you seen people use that as well? Or have you, worked with anybody where you've talked to them about utilizing that? Or maybe drinks, or just another form where they can control their elevation and still be present, and still get the benefit out of a situation.
Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't done any like official like hardcore research, but I have looked into it. I've talked to people about it, and like cannabis is really, it alters your perspective, as you said earlier about the music, and intimacy alters your perspective, and when you combine the two, it can be a mind blowing experience that you wouldn't have if you didn't combine.
Yeah.
So I think I feel like it's live your life, do what you want to do. If that makes you happy, if that's what you enjoy, don't let anyone tell you not to.
Yeah.
And honestly, there is plenty of study that shows that cannabis, or even as the ointments, like you said, can help. I have friends who have are very neurodivergent, and they smoke every day, and it helps them. It calms them. It takes away the headaches. It makes them feel better. So you combine that with the greatest feeling in the world, and that's being intimate, like physically intimate with somebody.
Yeah.
How could you say that's bad?
Yeah. And I think we deprive ourselves of because we're trained, we're indoctrined with, there's like a limit on pleasure. Which is weird because you get pleasure out of like a roller coaster, and they built some crazy ass roller coasters that enact the same endorphins and the same kind of feeling that a really orgasm does. But there's still this taboo, and and this shadow cast over just being human and being sexual human beings and having that same wellness, just as it has been over cannabis. I would love to have a time machine and go back and just be in whatever meeting that they decided way back in the day, like, no, we'll do it, but we're going to make sure that nobody else can. Because all those men back in the day that made all these rules and, made these falsehoods and these messages, it was okay for you to drink whiskey, in the morning with your breakfast, and then have 2 or 3 glasses before bedtime and smoke cigarettes. Because if you guys watch old shows, and I wasn't around then, so I don't been dating ourselves a lot this episode, but I don't want you guys thinking I was around in the 40s or 50s. But if you YouTube shit, they would, in the middle of the show, advertise cigarettes. And like I said, drinking was normal, but yet women were only supposed to be as sexual as this. You only needed, weed was bad, all this. Yeah. So
even kinks are shamed, and they really do it behind closed doors after watching like the Hugh Hefner documentary.
Yeah. The Hugh Hefner documentary was, they were like, we are going to just go full balls to the wall, tell everything when this man is gone, good and gone. That was very eye-opening. But then again, in a way it was, and then it wasn't, because it's like, wasn't this country, has it always been built upon sex scandals and men in power abusing their power against other beings, not just women? So in one way it was shocking, but another way it was like, well, he was 1,000. He did what 1,000-year-old white men do. Much love and all respect. You guys know I've said this before, but we're going to be honest here. If not, we're going to keep repeating the same shit, and this country is going to be scary. But I'm going to be on the spaceship to whatever other planet. Yes, scarier. Yeah. So I did want to, before we let you go, I'm really trying to pay attention to time, especially because you have a trip tomorrow. I won't make this another 2.5 hour episode, but I did want to say, I did want to ask you, how do you see, because you do work with the LGBTQ plus, is that enough? I want to make sure that I'm correct. Because I know, okay, because I'm being funny, but I'm not being rude in this. It's like there's something else new added every day.
There is. We just call it the alphabet soup at this point.
Okay, so it's okay because we've called it that as well. So it's okay that we call it that. All right. So have you seen when there's this, I don't want to say growth, but once again, just a larger presence of transgenders and people like, especially in Hollywood. Have you seen, like an uptick, I want to say, in people in that community or that are transgender stepping forward as well and wanting to then be a part of a kink community, but not having their lifestyle and their choice to be transgendered seen as a kink? Because I think that's what a lot of people overall see it
Yeah.
as. Or do you think the
Yeah.
movement right now is just focused on acceptance, not so much on they're working on their wellness and all aspects as far as sexual and
I think right now the trans community has a lot of trouble and hardship that they're dealing with. Between the bathroom laws and the TERFs over in England and all these anti-trans laws and honestly, like trans people, specifically trans women, get murdered at such insanely high rates every year just for being trans. But what I find, and I don't know if you have the same experience, but at least around me, from my experiences, the kink community tends to be way more accepting of queer,
so it's like a
trans,
refuge,
non-binaries.
Yeah.
So we go to every first Monday of every month they have Fascination, which is a nightclub. It's a kink night at the Legacy in Boston.
Okay.
So lots of kinkers. It's a gay club, so there's a lot of queer, mostly male, but you go there and there are a lot of trans men and trans women who are just there and accepted and comfortable, and I feel like I feel like I do think it can be tokenized. I don't want to. I definitely don't want to downplay that. I think people can be tokenized. Just like in the gay community, Asian men are heavily tokenized.
Yeah.
I think it's like I have one of my partners is trans, and I don't have they don't have a problem with it. I'm not with them because they're trans. They just happen. They just happen to be. I like them because I like them for who they are.
Yeah.
And I think at least in the kink community, there seems to be a little bit more of that acceptance, of that. Okay, people everyone's different, everyone's unique, everyone's we are our own little individual snowflakes, and that's okay, and that's good.
Yeah, and I can see that the kink community being welcoming because, as we just mentioned, overall in our society, having a kink is so crazy,
Very
but
taboo.
everybody has it. Everybody
Absolutely.
has one, and people don't either want to be educated, they don't want to admit it, whatever it may be, and I just send love and light to those people because I'm not perfect by any means, but when you're honest about what is most intimate to you and then whoever you choose to be intimate with, you really shouldn't care about anything else. Like that's what that's what intimacy means, so you're able to be at your most pure self. And if that person or whoever you're involved with isn't receptive, then that's not the person you're supposed to be with. There's people out there that will be accepting of it. So once people become just comfortable with that aspect of it, that I know I'm sounding like a hippie again, but that'll just change the world. That just provides so much love. But the reason why I ask is because I do have a lot. I do education within the cannabis storefronts. And I come across a lot of members of the transgender community. And I ended up speaking to one today, and the tears behind her eyes, she very much in the beginning stages, more of just dressing, but no surgery or anything yet. But you look and right away. There's some that I'm like, I don't know where you guys are getting this money from, but you are doing it. There's some, but very young, and he was talking about how cannabis helps him because he has a lot of depression. He's not accepted. I talked to him for probably about 30 minutes.
Is it he or she?
I'm sorry. She. Thank you for correcting me. Yes. And just the ability to know, like seeing her hold on to the bag with her, medication in it so tightly. It wasn't just somebody who was excited to go get high. Like she really needed it to get up every day and to keep moving and to overlook, the many obstacles that she's going through. And I want to say very young, like just 20 years old or something. And my oldest child is 25, and I'm just like, I couldn't imagine him being that lost over something that as little as him just being who he is. And I'm talking about my son, at 20. I couldn't imagine not being there and just, him being in that much pain as, this young lady was. So that's the kind of the reason why I ask, is just to once again kind of bridge the gap between the acceptance that, where you can find that acceptance and where you can find that help. That's why I asked about, if you saw, an insurgence kind of in the community. But I'm seeing just many more that are comfortable with coming in and using cannabis as their form of mental health.
And what I find amazing, like I didn't come out, until I was like mid-20s because I was terrified.
Yeah.
I look at, and back when I came out, it was still fairly dangerous to come out. I could get beat up. I could get what the Trevor, why am I blanking on it? The Trevor Project.
Yes. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. He was hurt. That happened not too long before I came out.
Yeah. So and he was in college, right?
Yeah, he was in college.
Just in college. Yeah.
And but it makes me feel warm and exciting that I look around and I see kids that are so young that are accepting themselves and coming out, not only as gay but as trans or non-binary. And it shows two things. It shows that we are becoming more accepting. But it also shows that parents are doing what they should be doing, and that's giving their kids the comfort and the trust and the permission to be themselves.
Yeah. I know that you've done well enough, or that you've done your part. There's always parenting that's going to continue to happen. But once they get to a certain age, you have to let them be who they are. I mean, we were not having the same conversation, but letting our 14-year-old know, like, the decisions that you make now, it's going to help to mold your future actions, because it helps to mold your thoughts, which becomes your actions. So I said, you got to be conscious of things that you're thinking and the things that you're saying now, because you're 3 years away, 4 years away from, we are legally done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not kicking them to the curb, but it's just, it is refreshing to see that you should see the look on his face.
Yes, we are. Yes.
18th birthday. Here's your present. Get out.
See, they're younger, so he'll start college and be 17. So we were like, oops, sorry. You'll get there. You'll get there eventually, 18. But no, it's very important for parents to understand that you can still parent, and that we have to do it differently than how we were raised. There can be some foundations and some beliefs that are good, but overall, we are not living in the same time. And so we have to, as parents, evolve, learn differently. Once you get them out of pull-ups, that's not where it ends. You have a lot of character development to do the next 8 years, 9 years. And it's important. And I think what you're saying, giving a lot of credit to those parents that are becoming aware of that. And I think that also is the push to live a better life, to be healthier, not just physically and, not eating the same way. And we were talking about the other day that meals that our parents used to make, and we were like, oh my God, like, how are we just not completely unhealthy? But little things and knowledge now that we can make those small adjustments. So it's the same thing with parenting. And especially now, for us not to sound like, oh, that generation, we have to really understand them a little more and the world that they live in. But then we can also relate it to, kind of what we went through. I mean, our generation isn't too far, above, despite what your students think, babe. You're not 70. But that's a lot of the responsibility. And unfortunately for the young lady in the story that I was sharing, parents, for whatever reason, chose to go another route. And whenever she spoke about them, you can see that's where the pain derived from. And I always kind of read in between the lines. I think either I'm an empath, I'm going to start working with somebody, or I'm psychic, one of the two. But I knew that was the foundation and the root for not being able to move forward in her journey. And really feeling like, but you birthed me, like you made me. So aren't you supposed to love me regardless? Like, I feel like that was just a reoccurring thought. Like, I don't know. I just got that energy, but I don't like to appear my age when I'm out educating, but I really was like, it's okay. I'll be your mom. Like, it's okay. You could call me. And I gave her my Instagram. I was like, let's anytime you talk. But it's, I feel like people that are seen as living a taboo life, and people that smoke, people that are LGBTQ plus, kinksters, swingers, whatever, people that get tattoos, whatever other people want to judge about. There is a commonality there, and the commonality is living your truth. But also understanding that you're never going to be able to please everybody and being okay with that. It's like it's twofold. What do you have to say? And like we've said, things are changing, and I think they've probably changed very swiftly in the last 10 years.
Absolutely.
And that's probably why there's so much, division upon it, because us as humans, we evolve, but we haven't evolved as much as our times, as quickly as our times and our technology has. So we still have some catching up to do as far as understanding and accepting.
I think we are in where we are today compared to where we were when I was a kid. Leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Like going back to what you're saying, it's like, our parents were, our parents were raised with the belief that cigarettes were good for you, and now we know that they kill you, like painfully kill you.
Yeah. And they know that they kill you, Yeah.
I remember going into restaurants and having to say, do you want the smoking or the non-smoking section?
Yeah.
Being on an airplane that had a smoking or non. I mean, how silly is that?
Yeah.
But the one thing that I would, if you are a parent and you have a kid that is going through something and you don't know what to deal with it, the one thing I would say, the one advice I would say, never do. And because I think this is the one downfall that most parents, especially our parents, kind of went through. And my mother, I could say specifically, is to use the phrase, when I was your age, my mother did this or did that. My mother would say that to me constantly. When I was your age, my mother would do this. My mother would never let me get away with that. And I would get so frustrated. I would say, but I'm not you and you're not her.
Yeah.
And this is not them.
Right. Yeah.
Things change. And if you and also keep in mind that when you were a kid, you're rebellious.
Yes.
You rebelled. It may not be the same way your kids are rebelling, but you rebelled.
Yes.
You went against the grain in your own way.
In whatever fashion you could. Dyeing your hair, wearing dark lipstick, or wearing dark clothes, listening to music that they just hated. Yeah. Something. Yeah.
So what's the difference? People are going to find their truth, however they find their truth. Don't, what I always say is don't yuck their yum,
Yeah.
Just
right. Let them live and live fun. Like my thing is, aren't you okay? Like as an adult, as a person, aren't you okay? Like you've raised them to this you have a great
Mhm.
home, roof over your head. By all standards of society, you're doing what you're supposed to do. You know, you're a
Mhm.
participating part of society. So aren't you okay? Why don't you have faith in what you've done and the example that you've set? Now, there's some people that know deep down they've left a shitty ass example.
Oh yeah.
And to those individuals, I say, in order to first start understanding your child in that situation, you got to work on yourself.
100%.
You know, like I said earlier, journal, write some shit down. If you don't want to go talk to anybody, I don't know why, when you could really just open your phone and get an app and talk to people nowadays. But if you're not at that level, fine. Start with, like I said, writing things. Look in the
Mhm.
mirror and start saying affirmations. Like things just really be like a light bulb really just clicks. And once you start that healing within yourself, then that'll allow you to, you know, to be there. Not saying the whole time, like, cut the kid off and work on yourself. It's going to have to be, you know, at the same time, but understand that there needs to be more work done on yourself than
Mhm.
this developing mind. They're still developing. They still, you know, they may change
Yeah.
next week completely, you know, or what you say
Mhm.
is normal. It's all
Yeah.
about being young and being a teenager. So
Yeah.
you know, now, in the same token, that generation is dumb as shit. But good Lord, they're dumb. But I will give it to them. They're a lot more accepting.
Mhm.
They do have a bigger grasp on who they are, or at least trying to. I mean, I was one who was in the country one week. I was in FFA. Then I was cheering. Then I was a dancer. Then I was in drama. You know. Then I was
Mhm.
in the gangster rap. Like, come on, stop. I grew up in a rural town in Northern California, but
Mhm.
you know, not the same extreme, you know, but it's the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like there's you change and you grow
Yes.
and you're, you know, you're flexible. But it's
And
been
to
oh no,
flip the
go ahead.
script really quick, not only for the parents, but if you are that kid,
Mm-hmm.
it's also it's
No, no.
one thing you should know, you should remember is sometimes the people who help you the most are your chosen family,
Yes.
not
Oh,
your birth family.
snaps to
Yeah.
that. 1000%. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go ahead and just say, because I was gonna ask you to drop, you know, do your mic drop. I like that right there. No, that is so true.
Mhm.
I have family that are
Mhm.
friends of ours that we met in college.
Mhm.
And I remember their birthdays. Their kids are my nieces and nephews. You know, my kids, their cousins. And these people love my family to death. But I feel like
Mhm.
they know me better because they were in such a important time in my life, from my 20s to, you know, my early 30s, where I am now. So they they've been able to see the growth and truly
Yeah.
who you are as an adult. You
Mhm.
know, until we get old and then we're just like, fuck it, I can be wrong. I'm just gonna say whatever I want because I'm old. But prior to that, these are the people that know you.
Mhm.
And those that
And they
will
accept
be there
you.
for you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that's powerful. I do like that. You
Mhm.
gonna say something? Puppy?
No, I just agree about the chosen family part. It was, like you said, my fraternity brothers or people that I call my cousin. That's not really my cousin. Your chosen family will be with you definitely through thick and thin, and sometimes your
Mhm.
real family, they won't, or they get upset, or whatever the case may be. Don't understand, not in contact, not
Yeah.
communicating, whatever the case may be. But sometimes with your chosen family, you might not even talk to them or
Mm-hmm.
have that interaction with them for a good portion of time. But then when you do, there's a reason why that's your chosen family. Like it's
Yes.
Yeah.
just right back
I
to
I
the good days.
yeah, I have friends that I talk to maybe once a month or once every other month, but I trust them more than my own parents.
Yeah. Right. And you get on the phone with them and it's like you guys talked every day, you
It's like
know?
we didn't skip a beat. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
those people love you and they accept you and
Mhm.
you tell them things that they should go, and they go, okay,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
why else
Okay.
would that be? That's you,
Yeah.
you know? And
Obviously. Yeah.
that is so validating and it allows you at the same time to be vulnerable because once again, self-reflection's awesome. It allows you to go, they see the same thing that I see in myself, good or
Mhm.
bad, and they love me
Mhm.
regardless. You
Mhm.
know, so that is powerful. So finding
Yeah.
your community, finding those,
Mm.
I will say that is another benefit of like TikTok. You know, these people kind of
Mhm.
find this community that follow the same content creators and stuff. I will, say this with a little bit of a, warning. Once again, like you
Mhm.
said earlier, find somebody that you connect with. That's great, but make sure that you validate and you vet,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are doing these things just for the clout, just to say
Mhm.
they're a TikTok content creator, just for the paycheck.
Yeah.
But I'd say overall, you can find a community of true, genuine people. Um,
You said
genuine.
genuine.
It's genuine.
One's a
Close
singer.
enough.
Stop it. It's my British speak, okay? Speaking the king's language. It's no longer the queen's language. It's the king's language.
One's a
Is he a
noun.
king or
Mm.
prince?
One's a
He's a
noun,
king,
one's
right?
adjective.
Yeah.
And he's a king now.
Yes, I'm speaking the king's English, sir.
She's
Jeez.
gonna wrap your sandwich in aluminium in a moment.
Yes. I love that you said that. We have a really good friend from Australia, and he's like, "You guys say hamburger weird. You say aluminium." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oil?" He's like, "Aluminium." I was like, "Nope, it's aluminum foil. I don't
Yeah.
know." And then he breaks down the spelling. I'm like, "I know how to spell it. Like, I don't just."
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's funny that you said that, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. So yes, I love what you said. That I think that's a good note. Like I said, that's your
Mhm.
mic drop. Once again, just to reiterate, the purpose of this episode was to really show, like I said, the commonality that's involved with just really living your best life, and
Mhm.
that your best life has so many different aspects, and out of those different aspects, there's branches and leaves and trees. There's just so much that makes up who you are. And in order to find your true happiness, whether that's using the power plant,
Mhm.
the power flower, like I said, in combination with finding your wellness as far as your intimacy and your sexual wellness, just
Mhm.
who you are, finding your truth. There's power in that. And
Mhm.
whether you utilize the plant or not, there's just ways to get to that end point. And I loved having you on because I remember when we had you on the other podcast, you said so many things that I gave snaps to. And I was just like, oh my God, this relates. This relates so much to just living a good, true, full lifestyle of wellness, which includes education, which is so super
Mhm.
important. So,
Mhm.
and I wanted to give you a platform so that anybody that feels any connection to what you're saying, or feels like you may be able to give them a word of motivation or whatever it may be, they can reach out and they can have another resource. We can
Mhm.
be on separate
Yeah.
sides of the country or opposite sides of the planet, but you can always connect with somebody like Wesley, who will be happy to help you with whatever part of your journey that
Mhm.
you're partaking on, or whichever part of your journey that you're currently in. So before we wind up, I'm very proud of myself. I did say 25 minutes ago we were going to stop, but it was good. So let everybody know where they can get in contact with you, social media, website. This is your time. You have the stage.
All right. My website you can go to is wesleytoma.com. You go there. If you want to book a session, you can book your first session is free. I encourage anybody who wants to talk to reach out. On my website, I will say I do have a pricing chart. One thing I want to tell people is that is like the ideal, but don't let that be the scare away, because coaching and therapy is expensive. I get it. I'm not trying to take anyone out. I'm happy to. I want to help people. The price doesn't matter to me. I'm happy to talk about it and work something out with somebody. I just want to make sure you get the help and the support you need. So just go to my website, like I said, wesleytoma.com, and I would love to chat with anybody.
Awesome. So reach out, guys. Like I said, if
Mm.
you felt a connection, you're giving snaps or applauding in your living room or in your car or whatever it is, reach out. Definitely. This is somebody that I've met that I am like, we are now friends. In my head, we're best friends, but we're now friends. And I'm looking at your picture when hubby goes close up, and you are reminding me of somebody, and I cannot, it's like, it's right there, like an actor or somebody, like you're so right now, it's driving me crazy. So if I randomly email you or be like, this is who, that's why. But I want to thank you so much for taking the time and coming on this podcast. Getting into different conversations in different ways, talking about music. I feel like right now I should go on a Foo Fighters just binge. But
when is
you guys,
not a good time to go on a Foo Fighters binge?
I right. My neighbors might not think so, but it is Friday night,
Fuck
so
them.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's only 8. Yeah, it's only 8:00 here, so they're good.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm actually improving their life by letting them hear Dave Grohl.
Seriously.
So yeah, he's so great. So before we end off, my son asked me, he goes, Mom, do you know what he's whispering in Everlong? And I was like, I think I do. He's like, it's part of a letter that he wrote. And I was like, you're 11. How do you know that? And I looked it up, and that's exactly what he's reading, a part of a letter that he wrote to the girl that the song was about. Another proud mom moment. 11-year-old knowing fighters. So great.
Good mommy. Good mommy.
I know. If I do nothing else, I'm like, touch the music. No, I'm kidding. So thank you guys so much. It's so good being back. We have more podcasts of just fabulousness. Word of the day or word of the episode. I didn't use it as much as I wanted to, but superfluous, which means unnecessary, extra, doing a lot, as the kids would say maybe 10 years ago. What do they call it? What do they call it
Doing the
now?
most?
Doing a lot, doing the most?
No one said doing a lot.
Oh my gosh, totally did.
Only in Oak Grove.
And on that note, that's the mic drop for our part. No, thank you guys so much. Like, subscribe, share, comment, get on my social media, get on my website, reach out. Like I said, or I say on other podcasts, I only bite if you want me to. So hit me up, AKA your girl. Just gonna leave it like that. MariJayne Maven. Bye, guys.